Welcome to TMS Insights, November 2024. Ben, it's been a big time all over global markets.
Where's this year gone? It's already November.
It's already November.
Yeah.
Second Tuesday in November often brings a horse race in Melbourne and a potentially new president in the United States. And this year, something quite amazing happened, and Donald Trump's been re-elected.
Yep.
So markets, let's talk the market side of things. I think it's important to separate from the, what do we think of the winning candidate.
Yeah, I think put that to one side.
Markets took a big bump on Wednesday in the US, up 3%. It's carried on. Why are they so excited about the next presidency?
Yeah, so I think Trump potentially could be one of the most business-friendly and market-friendly presidents that we've seen in certainly this century and potentially in the modern history of America, maybe since Reagan. And you know, we know some of his policies are going to get the economy going. There's also some policies which the markets are hoping he won't follow through with, I suspect, sure, and sort of calling his bluff in some ways. But I think this time, Jeremy, there's a couple of things. I think this time he's ready for office, which he wasn't last time. Mm-hmm. He's got good people around him. So Scott Bessent is seen as being the next Treasury Secretary, very well respected in markets. Elon Musk leading a multi-trillion-dollar efficiency drive. Apparently he's sent his aid team to Washington already to start work. And secondly, I think he now knows how governing works and how it looks.
It's a big point, really, when you think of it. What could somebody like that learn? An awful lot. And probably also the other people, because you mentioned he's got better people potentially. He had some very good people. He ended up sacking a lot of them.
Well, and then rehiring and then sacking.
And so maybe that charade won't exist. He might have some reflection on what's best here could be the case. So there's definitely hope, and markets are expressing that hope. Is this a big thing for the tech sector as well? I mean, having Musk there.
Absolutely. Trump sees America's technology ability as a leading weapon that he has against China.
Yeah.
And he will use that to the best of his ability. He's all for companies growing and hiring, and you know, he's got people in his ear who are very close to this sector, who he's listening to. So I think you can only take it as a positive from an investing point of view. What has happened, and control of the Senate as well. You know, he can push through more
popular
of these
vote.
changes.
There's a lot of mandate in that.
Completely.
Peter Thiel was behind the JD Vance election and selection as vice president. So again,
he was there last time as well.
He was there last time. So you're lining up some good people on that side. The challenge is immense as well. So, and what could this tariff discussion mean? Is this the hot air of a candidate before he becomes elected, or is it something that actually should be scaring Australia and other parts of the world, including China?
Yeah, well, maybe we could address that by talking about what's going on in the bond market as well, because what we have seen during this period and post it is a dislocation, I would say, in markets where bond yields have risen significantly, whilst growth stocks and equities have risen significantly. You never normally see that. The US dollar has been very strong whilst we're in a growth on mode. That also normally never happens. So, like, the bond market is saying that things like tariffs are a real possibility, which could restoke inflation and force the Fed to pivot. The bond market could be saying that there's concerns about the amount of borrowings or debt that he might be willing to take on. The bond market might be saying that he's going to speed up the economy, which I think is pretty likely, and that the Fed can't cut as hard as initially thought. So it feels to me like things need to settle, and because we have seen some weird movements, and it's kind of hard to make a lot out of it.
And particularly you can get some repositioning or short covering that has to happen after an event like that, that isn't genuine about the where and the hows of the next period. If you play that out to the next level, earnings issues are going to affect companies. We've had earnings results at the same time, and we're seeing really positive US earnings, which are really global earnings, and it's good things for the global economy. And And what could we draw out? What were the sort of highlights, if you like, from that quarterly reporting season?
So to me, the main highlight, there's probably two in the big end of America's stock exchange. There's the aggressive cost cutting that we saw in 2022 and 2023, and a growing revenue stream now on a lower cost base. So we're getting faster profit growth out of the big tech stocks in particular than we would have, the analysts expected. We also have this AI thematic, which is exciting.
Very exciting, yeah.
But there's a lot of investing going on with it, but it's, we're seeing some extraordinary moves on the back of it. So to me, some of the results we saw were really strong. Like Amazon, I think, was the standout for us in this recent quarterly season. And, that was really actually Amazon Prime. It wasn't so much AWS, which is the AI winner. It was the actual
AI cloud winner
shopping.
for most of the last few years. Let's talk about another one, Square.
Block.
Yep. Really? So that was Friday.
That was Friday.
Again, big bump today in the market.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at what's one stock that would benefit the most from a Trump win, it would be Block, because they are involved in Bitcoin quite significantly. Yeah. But also this is Trump, right? This company is disrupting the US banking landscape. And there's now something like 45 million Americans who use Block for their everyday banking and transacting needs. There's something like 15 or 20 million merchants that are using all of its tech and back-end hardware. And it's bringing these together. And on top of that, Afterpay is booming again.
Buy now, pay later's back.
It's back. Afterpay,
that's a monetary thing as much as anything else.
Yeah. So, we've seen this with Zip. There's another one on the ASX as well. So
back in boom again,
and it looks cheap. Yeah. It goes back to this is a stock trading on a sub 25 PE. Yeah. ResMed, I thought, had an outstanding result. And we've just seen that the market's been quite selective in this, on our exchange. It's been the US-facing businesses that the market's really gone after, and investors are positioning toward. So, that makes sense.
A couple of Australian companies, one which is actually global in its nature, has been very much in the news lately, Ben, has been Wisetech.
Yeah.
Richard White has had some extra office issues to deal with.
Wondering how you're going to word this.
And that makes some good copy for the newspapers and the like. Does it actually affect the company?
No. It doesn't, but there's been a lot of stuff written about this in the papers since, but there's no doubt that the evidence is unequivocal that founder-led businesses significantly outperform other companies on the stock exchange. We love founder-led businesses, and most of our businesses are founder-led. The crux can be when the founder has an issue. And we've seen a couple of these recently, and you've really got to, with Wisetech, we were very confident that none of their customers were going to leave, and customer sign-up was likely to be as strong as it was predicted.
They would hurt themselves by leaving. There's no really great option to go to outside.
But Richard White is a machine, and it would have been a massive loss to the company's future growth trajectory, I think, if he disappeared.
So it's almost like what we were saying about the election of a president. It doesn't really matter what you think of it. The economics of this company are the same.
Completely.
Now, I'm going to give you a different one, Ben. Mineral Resources has been in the news. That's, obviously a diversified, miner and producer. There's many moving parts in the business, some we didn't know about. Chris Ellison, is the verdict as favourable to him as Richard White? Or as Mineral Resources and Chris Ellison got some issues?
I think this is still one which I think we both say we're not too certain about.
I'm quite concerned about the people running the business as opposed to the business. So I think one of the assets when you've got things in the ground is it doesn't matter about the management.
Yes, they're still in the ground, and they're being dug out and sold for $105.
Governance of this company is dreadful. And that will plague them until they totally sort it out. They think they did a very good job with the exiting of Ellison, but I'm not convinced. It's too protracted, generous, etc., and it hasn't dealt with everything.
And there are ASIC's involved.
Yes.
We've got independent agencies coming in, and you don't know what they're going to uncover. So I'd say that's one. I think we've got to say what we think I'm not selling it, but I'm not adding to it on this weakness.
Yeah, it's got a few things to deal with, and again, but the assets are there and they're very good, so that's valuable. Quickly, banks reported largely very solid.
Unexciting, but consistent.
Yeah.
Good dividends, although if you're paying current share prices, not quite as attractive as we've seen in the past because of how hard they've run.
That's right.
Macquarie's was an interesting one. I don't know what you thought.
Bit of a downgrade, really.
Yeah,
so
another one.
I wouldn't be overly concerned, but the market sold it down, and it was natural for it to do it. But often we see that the political environment banks work in, they don't like to talk their future earnings up much. Let's see what they deliver in a year's time.
Yeah. It is interesting with Macquarie, sort of the third downgrade now, and the market has kept giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm sure that will be right. But it is kind of hard to weigh up an all-time high stock price versus the current environment, but that can change pretty quickly, right? And
well, I think so. I mean, they're definitely. I mean, it's how they move and grow those annuity businesses. It doesn't necessarily be today's earnings that gets the win, but the multiple should expand.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's true.
AGM season coming into Christmas, good times for markets seasonally, generally.
Yeah, and you've got to think this probably keeps going. I mean, it's sort of, you keep feeling like we've got to have a correction at some point, but you've got the Fed cutting rates, you've got a market cheerer coming in to run America, and you've got strong earnings growth. That's a pretty good
They're
combination.
the ingredients we look for. So if a pullback happens, it's against all of that. But it equally is overdue.
It's been
a very good buying opportunity overall. So that's all we've got time for today. We'll bring another insights to you and some other news in December.